Hi guys, my name is Hope, and today I want to talk to you about a very special book that I just read recently, and it is called The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. It is by Anne Bronte, and if you've read any of the Brontes, you know that she is not that famous. Everybody knows about Emily, everybody knows about Charlotte, everybody has read Jane Eyre or Wuthering Heights, but they haven't read this. And I would recommend this highly. It is wonderful. It is just so lovely. It's such a cute book. Like Helen, the main character's name is Helen, and she's just so wonderful. She is strong and she's feminist, and so many of the things that Anne is writing about, you're gonna be like, hey, when did she write this? What is this 19th century? She is feminist, and I really, really love this. I think this was written in 1948, and it is just so lovely. Also, like, Anne Bronte wasn't the one to glamorize, like, drunk men, abusive men, and there's this character in here who is very abusive to his wife, and that is Helen. So let me talk at first a bit about the book. So if you're here for the review, I would really recommend it. It's just such a lovely, easy classic to get to, and if you're thinking about whether you should start with this, maybe you totally should. It's really fun. It's a bit slow in the middle, but I would totally recommend it. If you've ever read any classics and you haven't read this, you totally should. So let's get a bit into the discussion about this book. So first 100 pages or so is a character named Gilbert Markham, and he is sending letters to his friend, and basically he's telling about his experiences, and he meets a woman called Helen, and he falls in love with her, and he is trying to tell a story. And then about 100th page, we start to get to know Helen from her own letters, because she gives Gilbert her letters, and the way she portrays her life in the beginning seems like it's not really letters. It seems like she's trying to tell Gilbert the story, but later on, like, it kind of seems like letters, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not letters, it's a diary, so she's like writing her own diary, but it seems like she is kind of making the story for Gilbert. But that's not the case. That's just like how I felt. But she's just so strong. She has this aunt who is super sassy, and I don't know, I really like it. And then you get to know that her husband, Helen's husband, is this abusive alcoholic who is gambling, who's being so horrible, who's cheating on her. And then in the beginning, she's just like, I'm gonna forgive him, he's wonderful, he's so nice. And then later on, she just realizes who he is, and I really like these two quotes, and I would like to read them because you really get to see when she figures out who he actually is. So she says, Arthur is not what I thought him at first, and if I had known him in the beginning as thoroughly as I do now, I probably never should have loved him, and if I had loved him first, then made the discovery, I fear I should have thought it my duty not to have married him. And like in the beginning, you see that she's being like, ooh, I should forgive him, he's a human, I can change him, I can help him. But then she figures out that she can't really help him, that he really doesn't want to change. And then there's this quote which I really like. It says, he knows he's my son, but when he chooses to withhold his light, he would have my sky be all darkness. He cannot bear that I should have a moon to mitigate the deprivation. And she loves her son. She has a son, and her relationship with her son, like in the beginning, you're like, wait, Helen, what's going on? Why are you so pushy? She just like holds him to herself. She doesn't want to let him like she doesn't want to leave him, she doesn't want to go to parties without him, and you're at first like, you're like, wait, why is she like this? And then you see why she does what she does, and it's just so wonderful. And then in the beginning we get to Gilbert's perspective again, and it is just so lovely. You get to see them, of course there's a lovely happy ending, which you get to, and it's just really rewarding to read it. I felt so happy that I read it. I would totally recommend this, like maybe even over Jane Eyre. I love Jane Eyre a bit more than this. I read it before, like a long time ago, but I would totally recommend this if you haven't read it and you read like Jane Eyre. Just like go and read this. Also, there's this thing that I wanted to mention, and it's really fun. Kate Beaton, she does these little comics about famous writers, and there's this one that she did of Bronte sisters, and if I manage to do it, I'll put a picture of her comic where she's like, Emily and Charlotte are saying like, ooh, look at this brooding, aggressive man, and Anne is being like, you silly dummies, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, she is not having it. And I really like that. It's really super fun. Also, like, they had a brother who was an alcoholic and very abusive, and his name is Branwell Bronte, and so Charlotte didn't let this book be published after Anne's death because of their brother. So Charlotte is not the nicest person, I guess, but yeah, you know, I read a bit about them, and I like Anne the most. Also, I don't know, there's like so much feminism in this. I'm in love with this. Like, it's really wonderful. So yeah, this is all that I really wanted to talk about. See you next time. Bye.